My dream scenario. Oh, man. Are you guys ready for the fanboy dream? The fanboy dream would be you just walk in. He gets into that room, and it's just a long table like friggin' Beauty and the Beast. And like all the way on the other end, it's just Jonathan Majors just sitting there. Like in a purple and green like suit, like just dressed sharp. What is up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Loki episode 6 was insane. I thought it was an incredible finale for the series and just a dope episode on its own. So in this video, I want to break down that crazy ending, explain what I believe is going on with Loki at the end of the show, with the post-credits scene, with Loki season 2. And I should say right off the bat, obviously, spoiler warning, if you have not seen the finale of Loki, we're going to get full on in to those spoilers. So let's jump to the absolute end of the show. And this shows Loki after being kicked out of that end Citadel place by Sylvie, popping up in the TVA. He has this moment of like, oh crap, man, everything sucks, and the lady I love just betrayed me. Love is a dagger. Why did I have to say it? And then after pulling himself together, he goes out to try to find Mobius. He pulls up on his buddy and he's all like, bro, it's so good to see you, bro. And also, holy crap, this Kang dude, that's a big deal. We should be really worried about this. And unfortunately, his buddy, his homie, his bro, Mobius, doesn't recognize him, doesn't know who he is, and we have it more or less revealed that he's in an alternate timeline. He looks out at a statue that once had the timekeepers in the TVA, and he sees a statue of Kang, a version of the character he just met at the Citadel with Sylvie. Now, actually, this has been clarified to be Kang the Conqueror, and this place that he pops up at the end of the episode has been clarified to be a different timeline. This is coming from Marvel production designer Kashra Farahani, and she says here the establishment shot of the new statue of Kang was to delay the audience and Loki's understanding that they were in a different place, that they were in a different timeline. So I believe that means that's a variant of his buddy Mobius, someone that doesn't recognize him, and now this is a new TVA, seemingly of a branch variant timeline where Kang the Conqueror is now in charge, which was foreshadowed by the other Kang, who we really think is Immortus, that they meet at the Citadel. Now, in my opinion, there's only really one of two things going on here, and it all hinges upon whether or not you believe the Kang that we meet at the Citadel. That Kang sort of presents himself as a lesser than two evils, as a Kang that emerged after the Multiverse War. He destroys all the other variants of Kang and keeps it streamlined so that other more dangerous variants of himself do not come in and start another multiversal war that potentially destroys all that there is. But is this dude even the most reliable narrator? Is he actually telling the truth? Well, if he is telling the truth, then what he said would happen happens, and it happens almost instantly. Time, with all the branching out, just makes it so that in one of those branch timelines, the TVA is completely controlled by Kang the Conqueror, a sort of very more evil version of Kang than we meet in the Citadel. So that's option number one. But option number two is that this timeline that Loki is in is some kind of a backup timeline, a separate sacred timeline that perhaps was even created by the Kang that we see at the end of the timeline in the Citadel. Perhaps that Kang actually had a backup plan in a different variant timeline that he was going to go to regardless. Remember, the device that's used to send Loki to the timeline that he arrives in was Kang's personal device. Either way, he's in a timeline where Kang is in charge of the TVA and this Mobius does not know who he is. And this, combined with the post-credit scene, sets up more of Loki hanging out with Mobius, likely this variant trying to find Sylvie, trying to find the other Mobius, and trying to thwart the Kang the Conqueror that is now in charge of this TVA and maybe more of the timeline. Or perhaps we're sliding towards this inevitable multiversal war, which feels very in line with Secret Wars, something that we've long said is likely coming to the MCU. Regardless, the main point to drive home here is that season 2 of Loki is going to be like season 1, but opened up to a multiverse with possible different TVAs, other Kangs, a crazy opening up and sort of 10xing of the nutso, bizarro, banana stuff that we saw in season 1. To me, this is awesome, and it also feels very Rick and Morty. Like, Rick and Morty was incredible, but it kept trying to outdo itself and do more and more ridiculous things. And nowadays, the show's just like absolutely absurd in what it does. And that seems to be the pattern they're trying to emulate here with Loki. I'm all for it. Oh, and I also want to mention before we just get into talking about Kang and now opening up of the multiverse and What If and Spider-Man and all these different things, I just want to say that the Hollywood Reporter is reporting that Tom Hiddleston's Loki is going to be in Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness. That seems really wild, but kind of makes sense. I mean, if this is really the now Multiverse of Madness, everything's now canon of all Marvel, everything's a branch variant timeline, and there's just this permanent now crazy multiverse, then yeah, in the next film of that, someone that knows about what's actually going on might want to be in that movie. It makes sense. And if Kang is a really big bad dude that's kind of like Thanos, sort of teased throughout the next few phases or movies, then again, it would make sense for Loki to be in Doctor Strange when he is dealing with the ramifications of Kang now being gone, or rather all of these variant Kangs being out there. All right, now let's talk about Jonathan Majors as Kang. I thought he was amazing. I've talked about this in a couple of streams now, and I'll continue to talk about it. I thought he was brilliant. His performance was great. He was mischievous. He was so smart. He was fun, unpredictable, in awe. He had like scenes or parts of the show where it seemed like he was a child, just captivated by what was going on with Sylvie and Loki. Other times he seems like he's completely in charge, absolutely maniacal, and probably still lying to people. This version of him was likely Immortus. I know it's a combo of He Who Remains and Immortus, but the He Who Remains is talking about the war. I think he is the one who remains from the multiversal war. And on that note, it's likely that Miss Minutes is some kind of AI created by Kang and perhaps even accessible by all different Kangs throughout time. Maybe that's why Miss Minutes refers to him as He Who Remains. He's the Kang, or the Nathaniel Richards variant, that remain. But yeah, so it's a sort of combo of He Who Remains and Immortus. This is a dude at the end of time. He claims to be way older than he looks, and he's so tired he's seemingly willing to die and to end it all and be reincarnated in another form. He kind of mentions that. It's pretty crazy. So that feels very Immortus to me, but I also think he could be hiding something, right? There's this deal that's offered to Sylvie and Loki by Miss Minutes before they get to Kang. They refuse that, and then Miss Minutes pops up to help Judge Renslayer, giving her some data, not the stuff she wanted, but Miss Minutes claims this is stuff that he says will be more useful to you now, and then she leaves. And so I'm sort of seeing this thing where maybe Kang said, maybe I can stop these Lokis, one last temptation to get them off my back. If I can't do that, I'm going to have to enact my backup plan, and then everything we see from that moment on is a part of his backup plan. This could explain how quickly he's able to establish another timeline where he is in control, if that is him, which it is, but maybe a more evil version of him. Or perhaps that version of Kang, who's not that bad, will come back as well in a future project, and the Kang the Conqueror we meet will have words with him, or come to blows with him, or want to kill him, or something like that. There's all sorts of crazy possibilities with Kang and with Jonathan Majors, and he killed it as this version, and I think he will absolutely kill it as a Kang the Conqueror, perhaps a more hardened, more serious version of Kang that I think some Marvel fans were looking for. I still think you're going to get that in Quantumania and beyond. And speaking of Quantumania, holy crap, I'm super excited for that movie now. The possibility of it tying to the multiverse breaking, Kang the Conqueror setting up his TVA, something to do with the Fantastic Four or something like that. It's just going to be crazy. And even What If now seems like it could be canon. I mean, like literally now that the multiverse is out there and everything's just stable, like it can't be pruned, it makes sense as to why you would have a multiversal version of the Avengers, the Guardians of the Multiverse, and have them go around stopping big threats. And it's freaking awesome, dude. And the fact that it could be canon, because now everything is canon, is really exciting. And one last thing that I want to say about the ending of Loki is that it sets up a scenario in which season 2 of this show could literally take place at any time, connected to any point in the MCU. It could happen after a few more of these movies. It could happen after Quantumania. It could technically happen after the next multiversal war, after post-Secret Wars or whatever they end up doing with that. It's just crazy, man. And I'm just very excited about Loki not only opening things up and helping us kind of get to this new place of ridiculousness and multiverseness and, you know, connective tissue and all the sweet nerdy things that I like, but also setting up its own path forward to continue to be crazy and maybe fundamentally change the MCU again in its second season. A lot of fun, man. I'm super hyped up. I love this show. 10 out of 10 for me. Love it. Gonna rewatch it. Think it's the best Disney Plus show complete to date. That's right. I'm saying it's better than Mandalorian Season 2. I'm making that bold statement because I'm, well, frankly, still in the hype honeymoon period, and I'm just going to say it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make that claim, and now it's law. It's written forever and stuff. Let us know what you thought about Loki. Let us know what you think about the future MCU stuff, the Spider-Man of it all. This probably explains Toby and Andrew and all that craziness, man. It's so much fun stuff. So let us know what you're thinking in the comments section below. Check out our live streaming channel where we're going to be doing a ton of streams talking about Loki and the impact it will have on the MCU. Bring your questions over there. Hang out. It is always a good time. And as I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video.